hey, I got new merch. There's hoodies, stickers, and this sweet new Memento Mori shirt that you can swipe. You get it? Because the kanji for forest is read as Mori, and Memento Mori. Yeah? Okay, I'll start the video. Links are in the description. The trap. An oddity or an evolution? I don't know. I'm just making a video. Also, this is coming out in October. This is probably gonna be really confusing for you without that context, and I didn't think about the longevity of this video putting this on because I thought it'd be appropriate for this video, and it's Halloween. It's kind of spooky, kind of not. Talking about traps. It was thematic. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Negative Legend, and in my tireless pursuit of straddling the line between being your regular, everyday, average soy boy and being canceled, I thought I'd add another video in my exploration of anime archetypes. And this one is fun because we're talking about traps. Boy, I love the controversial stuff. First of all, what is a trap? A trap is an archetype in anime where a character is drawn like a girl, acts like a girl, is typically voice acted by a girl, but that's not a girl. Canonically speaking, they are a boy. They even go so far as to tell you that they are a boy. That's kind of the big twist whenever they do it.
僕、男なんだけどな.
And it's pretty nice because we don't need to ask them their pronouns. They kind of just told us. And the reaction of traps in the anime community has shifted over the years from the Admiral Akbar meme of trying to ward away people from danger to now fully embracing traps. Maybe a little bit too much. The creation of this archetype stems from how Eastern Asian countries have perceived the slow change of attractiveness in men. I mean, we make jokes all the time how you can slap a wig onto like any K-pop star and they're indistinguishable from a girl, but that's the point though. Nowadays, women in Japan prefer men to have a feeling of clean. And that goes beyond just, you know, typical hygiene. It's a complicated word, it has multiple meanings. You can use a few words, but typically the one I hear is kire, which is Japanese for pretty and clean. It changes depending on context. It's a very versatile word, and because this is what people now are kind of looking for when they're looking for someone that is attractive, the whole macho man archetype of like Fist of the North Star or Rambo slowly kind of faded away, and now you see a lot of softer boys in anime. If the goal is to be clean and pretty, and guys looking more and more feminine tends to make people more attracted to them, then why not just go all the way and make them just look like a girl? Quick distinction here, because this is going to be a big problem for this topic of conversation. Traps are not transgenders. With traps, it's just a guy or a girl dressing in the clothes of the opposite gender. With transgenders, there's usually a level of dysphoria or dissatisfaction with their body or the sex that they were born as, going so far as to change their own body to a point to where they feel more comfortable. Traps try to look good, trans try to feel good about themselves, not in general, not in that way. Don't misinterpret what I just said. You know what I mean. So what's the controversy around traps? Well, in real life, not in our stylized Japanese cartoons, trap is used as an actual slur against both crossdressers and transgenders. Because girls can wear pants, but I can't wear a skirt without risking someone wanting to beat me into the ground. I just want to feel the freedom. The Scots were right. And so using the term trap to real life people is a bit disrespectful for people who have actually been afraid for their lives from people calling them that. And so I'm going to make a disclaimer here, and this is something I should have done in my video about lollies, but then again, there's a lot of things I kind of wish I did with the video about lollies, so I'm not really saying anything. In real life, and I'm talking about when you're conversing with an actual person, you don't call them a trap. And when talking to real people in real life, you don't call them a lolly. That's weird, bro. You can't start bringing your anime bullshit into real life. I know we all want our waifus to be real, but they're not. The entire foundation of the lolly argument stems from the fact that they are not real. If you start calling real people lollies, you're literally breaking the foundation of that argument. My previous video wasn't a defense for people who like lollies. I was just taking the arguments of both sides, breaking them down, making them into a easily digestible video so that it's easier to think about and so that people can understand both sides. But if you're going to call people in real life either lollies or traps, then I know what side I'm going to pick, and it's not gonna be the side you want it to be. So traps is a real slur that is used against real people. So what's the problem with that when it comes to anime? The issue now comes from the anime community is really the only community that uses trap positively. And the alternatives to traps being femboys or lady men are also slurs. So those aren't really good alternatives for describing the specific archetype in anime, and so we're not gonna change it. In the minds of the anime fan, a trap is actually a good thing. And the reason it's been so wholly accepted by the anime community is one of two reasons. One, the characters are typically really good characters. Over time, we were just won over by their charm. How could you get mad at a face like this? Number two, and this is more my take, my interpretation, so take it with a grain of salt, but I'm guessing that since a lot of anime fans are lonely weebs without relationships, don't try to debate me on this, you know I'm right, traps are very alluring. Asking a girl out? That's scary. But a trap? Hey man, a Stolfo? Pfft, he's just one of the guys. A guy I'd like to fuck. And so I mentioned previously that when I make these videos, I'm not taking a side or making a defense for anyone. However, I will say this one thing as my own opinion. We're entering the opinion zone. I personally have never been the target of being called a trap. I like wearing makeup, as you could probably tell. And I'm not the most masculine person, as you could probably tell. And I'm not brave enough to go out into the real world dressed in clothes of the opposite gender that I was born as. I like femininity to a safe degree. So I've never been subject to that kind of harassment before. And because of that, I probably don't have the credibility to say whether or not trap is an okay or not okay word to use when referring to the archetype in anime, but I don't find it to be an offensive term when referring to anime characters. Big distinction there. Very important distinction there. Honestly, if someone called me a trap in real life, I'd probably be dumb and take it as a compliment because in my mind it'd be like, oh my god, they thought I was attractive enough to think of me as a girl. Crazy. I'm hot. I still think you shouldn't call any real people a trap unless they're cool with it. There are some people out there who are actually people who identify as traps themselves because they're part of the community that just had the same exposure that I generally did, and they don't see trap as a bad word. They just think of it as the descriptor that people use. And so because of that, I have a hard time seeing trap as a bad term. It's like how people took back the word queer. It used to be an insult, now it's not. And if you use Reddit, yes, I use Reddit, but I'm a YouTuber, so I kind of need to know every single social media. I'm not really saying much. Links to my socials are in the description below. Please follow me everywhere, all the time. I don't always look like this. Kinda wish I did though. Damn, I look good. I'm looking at myself in the viewfinder. I really like how I look with black lipstick. Don't know why. I didn't think I'd enjoy it this much. I am upset with how I did my eyeliner. I didn't do a good job. If you use Reddit, you'd know about the downfall of the subreddit Animemes. The subreddit where you submit memes, but they're based around anime. It's not complicated. The moderators prohibited the use of the word trap. Understandably so, they had good intentions. They were trying to be understanding about the weight of that word towards transgenders. But at this point in time, it had been so normalized that trap was a term used to describe the archetypal character in anime that they received monumental backlash. And it was honestly really sobering to see how the fans backlashed. Because the argument was that, you know, trap isn't being used for transgenders, and that the community, not even me, you'd think I'd be the one making this argument. I wasn't. The community was making the argument that traps are not transgenders. Traps cross-dress. Transgenders transition their gender. It's literally a portmanteau. It's not hard. People who cross-dress are not automatically transgender. You kind of have to not really have to, but Typically, dysphoria is associated with being transgender. More importantly, the characters that they're using the term for literally identify as boys, and they are born as a boy. That is cisgender. That's not transgender. A real transgender character, like Lily Hoshikawa from Zombieland Saga, that's an actual transgender character. That's canonical. And nobody used the term trap for her. And then there was a mass exodus of that subreddit, but I'm not gonna get too deep into that because I'm sure there's gonna be someone else out there who's going to fully encapsulate the entirety of that situation in a video that's far funnier than one I would make. And there was a lot of other factors that led to people leaving that subreddit. To further bring home the point, let's talk about how traps versus transgenders are typically portrayed as when writing a show for anime. Let's use Astolfo, the poster boy for traps. Now, Astolfo was largely used for comedy relief. Mostly with that one girl in Fate Apocrypha who would strap him to... That was awkward. I'm not gonna fully describe that scene. Watch Fate Apocrypha if you wanna know, but like up until before he stopped being, letting himself be used like that, it was kind of awkward, kind of not. He was okay with it, but also didn't really care. He was very neutral. I don't need to describe all this. Just go watch the show. Traps, usually speaking, aren't used as characters that explore the concept of femininity. They're just characters that look like girls. And that's it. A better example would be Najimi Osana from Komi Can't Communicate. Is she a girl? Sometimes. Is he a boy? Who knows? That's his character. Her character. Nobody knows. That's the joke. It's literally the entire character. There's not really an exploration into why they're choosing to dress like this, or the feeling or the struggle that they're choosing to dress like this for. It's just this is how they're dressing. But Lily from Zombieland Saga has an entire episode dedicated to her coming out as transgender, the effect of the relationship she had with her father, and how that tied in with her being an idol. That was an actual exploration of the struggle that she went through with her familial situation and her work life. A trap is a byproduct of a culture, and it isn't really explored because it's more or less accepted if you're attractive. That's really messed up when I say it out loud. But being trans carries a lot more weight because, well, it's not really all that accepted. There's a lot more personal turmoil that a character like that, or real people, go through, and it lends itself much easier to explore that in writing, especially when exploring their transition socially and psychologically. Both traps and transgenders overlap a lot, when they're being bullied or harassed, but their portrayal in anime is vastly different. And so if you take anything away from this video, it doesn't matter if traps are gay or not. We all like them, and we all want to defend them in our internet wars. Also, for the love of God, guys, don't call real people traps.